YouTube channel, and let me sincerely apologize for my absentee. I am sorry that I've been absent for a while. It's for a good cause, actually. It's a bit personal right now to talk about. Maybe down the line I could do a vlog about it, you know. But it has been a rough patch in my life, and I am grateful to be alive. I'm grateful, you know, that God had mercy on me and I was able to pull myself up and move on, because in most cases most persons don't get a chance to. So I must say I'm very much grateful for that. I'm really grateful and happy. Most of my followers say that I should speak patois when I'm talking to everybody. I'm not going to say name, but at the end of the day, I have to keep it at a level where I want it. Yes, I'm going to put a little patois in sometimes, and then a little standard English, because I would like persons from other country would understand what I'm saying, and also to get fun and laughter with the patois. But sometimes when you talk patois so deep, persons don't understand or get what you're saying. So I'm going to have to like mix it. For tonight's topic, really, I decided to do disappointments and failure, because, you know, we tend to face that so much. We tend to face that so much in our lives, and most of us, you know, are able to pick up the pieces and continue, and most of us are not able to. It's a bit hard, I must say. It is hard. I mean, we are all human beings, you get me? So it is hard, and nobody in this life is working to be a failure or to have fail. So of course it's gonna have a toll on our lives, but failure and disappointment is a must. Nobody cannot live life without failing and bucking up on disappointment. Jamaican would have said buck up, right? Nobody can escape that. It's just life, and that's just the facts. Now, where it relates to failure, most people tend to take it as something where, oh, man, now come on to nothing good because this happened, or how this not gonna work for me because me tried this so much time, and persons like, me can't bother because this is enough for me, or me can't bother, me give up. No. Yes, we're human beings, and yes, we do feel that way sometimes, like, chop, me can't bother. But at the end of the day, you have to bother, because sometimes failure comes for a bigger and greater achievement. You have to understand that. And disappointment and failure, it's almost the same thing, but not so much of alike. Failure would have been within yourself, and disappointment would have been something that you cannot control. That's how I would actually define it in my own terms, not using a dictionary or the internet for any definition, just my whole prospect of how I think of things, and everybody have their own definition, because if you read something from the internet or the dictionary, you have to put it in your own words to understand it. So I believe failure is something that is within, that you can fix, you can control. Disappointment is like, it's like an external and an internal. External and internal. Internal would have been within, which I think a failure, that would have been within you being able to try something, do something. A disappointment would have been an out. You have external, you have internal. That would have been an external. So most time you have no control over disappointments. Disappointment is relying on the outside. So I would have said that the external, where failure, I think, would have been the internal. where it has to be within. And when I say within, meaning you fail to do something, but a disappointment can come from an external factor that you have no control over, if you get what I'm saying. But most people tend to give up and say, you know, this is not for me, you know, let's forget this. But sometimes failure is for a good cause. Yeah, you know, might say, boy, what kind of foolish shit chat? But like, no, it's for real. Like, failure, it helps you to groom yourself. Failure allows you to start over. Failure helps you to build and to work harder than how you did before. So if you choose A and A didn't work, failure helps you to choose another path. Choose B or C. It could be A didn't work, B didn't work, C didn't work, but something will work. And you have to go with that mindset to say, hey, this never worked, you know, so you know what, may I try something different. You understand me? You can't just give up, because sometimes giving up, that's when the breakthrough is going to actually come. Disappointments are not like failure. Disappointment can be that you went to the embassy to try for a visa and they deny you. That's not on your hand. You cannot do anything about that. That's a disappointment. Disappointment can be that, hey, you're supposed to go somewhere, but somebody didn't get a chance to come for you. You can't do nothing about that. But failure, you can work on failure. And persons need to understand the difference between disappointment and failure, because at the end of the day, persons take it to be the same thing when it's not. Disappointment, you have no control over disappointments. Nobody has control over disappointment. And yes, nobody has control over failure, but you can fix failure. You cannot fix disappointment. That's the difference. So you can go back to the drawing board and say, hey, you know what? I did this and this didn't work. So, okay, let me try this route. Okay, I took that door. Let me try this section. That's what failure is. Failure can be a case where you didn't put enough work into it, so it did not mature. It can also mean that, hey, the route you took for that wasn't the route to take. So guess what? You have to go back and try a different route. Doesn't mean that it's not going to ever work or it's not for you. It just means that at this time, at that route you took, you didn't work hard enough, so it didn't reach maturity state, so it did not happen. On the other hand, disappointment means, say, boy, the person never come true to you, for you. Person never come true for you, right? Or, okay, it was a situation that somebody at the end of the stick had to do something, but they didn't get to do that, so guess what? It didn't work. So guys, I hope you understand what I'm saying. I actually went through, I would say, disappointment. I would not say failure, because in my case, I had no control. There wasn't a case to say, okay, let me fix it. Let me try a different route. Let me do something else. Okay, maybe I didn't go in that better way, this way, that way. It was out of my control. You have no control over disappointments. You have no control over that. You can learn from it, but you have no control over disappointments. Disappointments is just a lesson to learn, but you cannot change it. Failure, you can change failure. You can work on failure. You can do many things. You can try over and over and over and over. Failure doesn't mean that you don't mean nothing, you're not worthy. It doesn't mean that it's the end of your life. It doesn't mean that you should give up. Disappointment also doesn't mean that, hey, at the end of the world. No, it was not just not to work. That's just disappointment. It was not to happen. It's just not to happen. It wasn't to happen. That's just it. And all people always say, Disappointment is for a good reason. Me know no found or good grandparents or family or whosoever. You must hear that term. Disappointment is for a good cause. Right? But failure is a lesson to learn and to come back, rebuild, restart. That's how it works. That's my definition. That's how I define it to myself. Because you have to look at things as it is and still be able to take from it, pull from it to say, okay, I understand it and this is what it means to me. So it doesn't sincerely mean that you're changing the meaning of the word. And we all know everybody have different opinions. Nobody has the same opinions. Nobody whatsoever has the same opinions. Nobody thinks alike. Nobody acts alike. Everybody has their own opinions, own suggestions, and nothing is wrong with that. But I just define it in my own terms, and I'm explaining how it works best for me. You understand me? So it's been a hard time for me, but I have pulled through. And as I said, I'm so sorry for the absence, and you'll be getting more videos from me, guys. Don't worry about it. And yes, eventually later on down the line, I will tell you what had happened to me and how it had affected my life and persons around me. I will explain all of that. But for now, you need to think about what I just said just now. You don't have to agree with me, because you could have a different prospect to what I'm saying, which that would be very good. You could make a suggestion down in the comment below and I could look at it, and probably could even have a debate or a discussion about it based on what you think. But I try to think positive at all times. Sometimes it's so hard, but it gives you hope. Being positive, it does give hope, because you're telling yourself, okay, this is bad, but so bad. Too bad. Bad. Like when you go through it, man, you're rough, man. You're rough. You say, Lord, me not gonna make it. But like when you make it and you look back, like, it's rough, You're really rough, but thank God me pulled through. You understand me? But as I said, guys, maybe you guys define it differently from me, but I define it in that way, where I think it's easier to understand, where one is an external and one is an internal, meaning you have no control over one, but you have a little control with one, where you can get up, brush off, and try again. Some disappointments may never occur, but failure will always occur. Yeah, that is it. Disappointments may not always occur, but failure will always. Once you are going in the direction of achieving, you have to fail. And disappointment may occur. It may occur, but failure is a must. Nobody goes through life not failing. I don't believe that. I would have to meet that person. That would be a nice interview. I would like to meet that person that says they never failed at anything. I love to meet that person. I'm not lying. I love to meet that person. I swear. But guys, as I said before, it all depends on how you think of it. I don't think of disappointment as in so much of affecting me so much forever. But failure is more to affect me, because if I give up and not try, then my dreams will not be achieved, not accomplished. But disappointment, as I said, that's based on the outside. So let me see if I can give another example. Say first of all, you apply for, I used a visa before, so now I'm using a job, right? You apply for a job that you so much desire to have. You want this job so badly, right? And you are not working, and this is like your last alternative, and you went on the interview and everything, but nothing came through. You did not get the job. I would categorize that as a disappointment, not a failure. That's what I would categorize as a disappointment and not failure. Don't know if you understand, but I'm trying to explain it for a second as how I see and how I perceive the two terms. I would categorize it as a disappointment. You see a land and you want to buy the land, but somebody first you and buy the land. That would have been a disappointment. That's how I view disappointment. I don't know if that's much better. That's how I view disappointment. Failure, you could not put that with failure. Failure depends on you, not the external. It depends on you as the individual. Failure, that has to do with you, the inside. So that's what I'm trying to explain. The external would have been the disappointment. The internal would have been the failure. So failure would rely on you, based on you. What you put out is what you get. Having expectations and not being fulfilled. So, as I said, I would believe that would have been an external. Like, you think you're good for your exam, but then you not pass the exam because the person mark hard. Disappointment. I mean, you want half marks and you fail. Disappointment. That don't rely upon you, that rely upon who mark the paper. Right? And that's why I believe it would have considered as an external, because you have nothing to do to contribute or to fix or to change, which in failure, you fail the exam, you can't go back with it over. But as I said, guys, that's just how I look at life. And remember, nobody does not have to agree with what I'm saying, because as I said before, we all have different opinions. We believe differently about things. We read things and interpret things. I'm not even want to touch the Bible. I'm not lie, I don't want to touch the Bible, because look here, if you want to ask somebody about something about the Bible, may I go to 10 person, may I get 10 different interpretation, because everybody think different, everybody teaches different, everybody learns different, and everybody interprets different. But as I said, guys, I am back, and I'm very sorry to be away. It feels so nice to know you guys actually missed me. Oh my god, I will not do that to you guys again, but it was good. But guys, thanks for watching, and please share, like, please comment, make a suggestion, disagree, agree, come with your own opinions. I don't mind. I'm willing to even take correction if there's something to be corrected in what we're discussing, the two terms. I don't have a problem. That's just, I didn't Google anything. I just decided to talk about why I was away and not here, and explain what had happened to me. There was a little disappointment, and I just wanted to just let you guys know that, hey, I look at it two different ways. I would not consider my situation as a failure. I would just consider it as a disappointment. So that's just really my own opinion and how I view things. So you don't have to agree. You can disagree, you can agree, you can My teacher would say disagree to agree, whichever way. Whichever way. But it's just to share something that I believe in, and you can also share something that you believe or you think, or if you want research, and you can correct me. Guys, if you're in the state of mind where you have been facing disappointments, do not beat yourself up. Don't. If you're experiencing disappointments in your life, do not beat yourself up, because that's something you cannot change. No. But failure, on the other hand, other persons who have faced failure, they tend to give up on life. Don't. Failure is just something to put you back to the starting board, the drawing board, to start fresh, to start different, to approach the situation differently. It does not mean that, hey, it is finished right off. No. It doesn't mean that. It simply means that you have to try again. So do not allow any of them to determine how you view life and yourself. You cannot have any control over disappointments, but failure, you can always go again. So whenever you feel discouraged, do not. And it's hard to say do not feel discouraged, but find the strength to push yourself and say, hey, this is not it. Let me try again. Let me try it this way. Let me try it that way. Do not give up. Remember, you cannot change disappointments, but you can improve failure. Say that. I cannot change disappointments, but I can improve on failure. And that's important. You have to improve on failure. You cannot stop disappointments. You cannot change disappointments. Okay? Always remember that. Just always keep that in your head. And try as best to think positive as possible. What I do when there's a disappointment, I say, hey, that wasn't for me. That's how I handle my thing. I wasn't ready for that. That wasn't for me. It's not my time yet. Such is life. What can I do? With failure. Okay, so that never work. Alright, I'm gonna see if this work. That's how I treat failure. Yeah. So you do that. Keep pushing. Keep a firm and focused mentality, and you'll be perfectly fine. Once you're alive, that's all you need. Life. The impossible will happen, and the possibles will happen. Right. So guys, please click the link below. Please like, subscribe, comment, leave a suggestion. Guys, share with your friends and mama. Share with your friends and mama. And share. And thanks for watching. Peace.